no.
Alright, so for this next part of the video, we're going to be looking at more of an underutilized and, in my opinion, underexplored frame trap that Ermac has in his Master of Souls variation. So, you are doing a combo on somebody, and instead of getting the regular air blast, you get the ground blast. Now you don't really have time to do a jump in punch, and you barely have time to run in with the back one too. So you would think that you'd be losing your plus frames and losing your restand potential. And you're not. In fact, you have one of the better options in Ermac's arsenal that, again, people aren't really taking a look at right now. And that option comes from Soul Release. Now you guys are already familiar that with Soul Ball, Ermac can trade with certain projectiles full screen by launching the opponent. Just like that. However, what they aren't aware of is that if you wait long enough with the Soul Release and the opponent is able to block coming out of the hit animation, you can still perform the Soul Release, and it's an extremely plus frame move. I don't really know what, yeah, it's still a launcher, but they're able to block it, and if they do block it, they're at a lot of frame disadvantage, and I'll kind of demonstrate that now by having them jump. You can see for yourself. Oh, waited too long. Oh, too short. Does take some practice. Boom. You can see how plus that was. So, how plus is it? Well, I'll show you. Alright, at this point I'm going to walk through a couple of setups to kind of figure out exactly how plus this setup is. The first is going to be Ermac's back one. Starts up in 9 frames. Okay, so I can jail into back one, which is good. Which means I get the back one 2, back 1 2 4, get all of that, which is really nice. Alright, the next move we're going to look at is Ermac's forward 3. It's 11 frames of startup, -4 on block, launches on hit. You convert to full combo. Boom. So a little harder, but it still jails. Which means, again, depending on if the opponent has meter or how much you've conditioned them, you get access to forward 3, forward 3, 4, stagger pressure, all that good stuff. So forward 3, good to go. Alright, so a small side note here in the video. The next normals I'm going to try to use are Ermac's forward 4, his overhead, which has 12 frames of startup, as well as his forward 2 and his back 3, both of which have 13 frames of startup. Now, so far, these have been the hardest to jail, mostly because of the pushback that's involved with Soul Release on block. So, I'm not going to be recording all of my attempts because it would make the video way too long. I'm still new to this myself. So, I'm going to record a few examples, and you probably won't hear me talking much, if at all, for that very reason. So, enjoy. that last one was just to sort of demonstrate how, or I guess as far as I can tell, how plus this setup might be. Ermac's EX Soul Burst, as the X down back 2, has 16 frames of startup. So the fact that he can do that, well, you guys saw the clip already. The fact that he can do that before Lau's armor comes out means that this setup has to at least be plus 16. Now, how much plus it is after that, it's hard to tell because the next ranged move Ermac has is his teleport, and the setup does not guarantee the teleport against armor. Get sucked right into it. Alright, now that we've seen what all is guaranteed, and for Ermac basically everything he does is guaranteed out of that setup, we can take a look and see exactly how much meter he can gain, in theory, from comboing into this setup. So you have your basic Master of Souls combo. Boom. So, looks like just over half of a bar of meter, some decent chip, and we got to use a string that is 0-1 block, so obviously you can use that as a frame trap for your other tools. Now keep in mind, that is just that one string in forward 2-1 down 2. As we saw in the earlier clips, you're basically getting a guaranteed low-low mix-up, low overhead, and overhead mid. If you really want to, you can commit off of each of these strings, because by the time you get through with this setup, your soul balls will have been recharged, and then if you want, you go for bigger damage. Depends on how much of a commitment you're really willing to make. And I know what someone's going to ask. Is this setup strictly corner based, or can you do it mid-screen? Well, I have your answer. Alright, we have essentially covered everything we can as far as meter build, block advantage, etc. So the rest is going to be up to you, the Ermac player, to determine what the best setup is for you. Now keep in mind, if the opponent does not opt to use armor, then you can teleport if you want to, you can go for a jump in and clock them if they try to jump. You're very plus, and we've demonstrated that. But there's something I haven't shown, and it's something that I've stumbled across, I guess would be the best way of putting it, before XL came out way long ago. Something that I didn't think was very worthwhile, using the Soul Launcher, and I completely forgot about it until, and I want to thank EVB ADM Echo for reminding me of this. He showed a clip of a match he had played in or watched a few weeks ago that reminded me that this was still a thing. So taking this setup with what we've covered in this video, you can determine how useful this next part is, the final part. Now, for the sake of the video and going forward, I'm going to call this the blind reset. Not the best name, but it's whatever. Big D got to name that mystic trade the mystic shimmy. I'm calling this the blind reset. Okay, now, we've seen what happens when the opponent blocks the Soul Launcher. You know, it's extremely plus. Now you see what happens on hit. It's an easy 2-hit combo. You can just kind of do whatever. Okay. What happens if the opponent does not block a late detonated soul release? Actually, I'm not going to have him block afterwards. Did you see it? We'll do a side-by-side comparison. Okay. 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 Did you notice the difference there? I'll show you again. Alright. Alright. So basically you saw the difference. The second does not combo. If you detonate it early, it does. Now what this means is that if you detonate Soul Blast late and the opponent blocks it, you're left extremely plus, enough for a mix-up as we demonstrated earlier. If the opponent does not block and moves, then they get launched and the combo is reset. Now the good thing for the opponent is that this reset comes from Soul Ball, technically. Therefore, they cannot be recaptured with Soul Ball. However, they can still be carried to the corner for a pretty decent amount of damage considering you don't have to use meter for it. Alright, so there you have it. A little trick of the trade with Master of Souls that most players probably aren't even aware of, may not even find it very useful. I certainly do nowadays. Managed to use it a little bit in my time online tonight, so it's really one of those setups where there's no reason not to use it. I mean, you're giving up guaranteed damage or a guaranteed mix-up opportunity, sure. However, let's look at the pluses again. It launches for a blind reset on hit if you delay it long enough. If the opponent blocks, you get free pressure and free mix-up opportunities. So, something to keep in mind when you're using Master of Souls. It may not even be in the game much longer, that they could patch it out. It could be a glitch that they address in a hot fix later. So, play with it while you can now, and when the patch drops, I will re-examine Ermac to see if it's still in, or maybe if he has something else he can use. So, that's all for now. If you found the video to be informative or helpful, then please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for future content. If you have a question about something that you saw in the video, or an idea for a future video, leave a comment below.